Hi, this is Dr. Farley again. We're back on. This is Anders 3, still going through his blood work. And as you can see, I mean, this stuff is thorough. Um, so, by the way, the amount of testing that I run on patients when they come in here, 187 tests on my expanded panel. What you get from your typical medical doctor's tests, whether it's for your child or for yourself, is 20, 30 tests. And in my super specialty panels, over 1,400 tests. So why do I run all those tests? Because health is how you function, not how you feel, period. Period. So if you run big panels and your panels come back clean, you're healthy. If you run big panels and your panels don't come back clean, you better take action, because these are diseases that are percolating and developing and growing, and you will get diagnosed at some point in time. You will, guaranteed. You can't have improper function and think that it will not manifest and turn into a disease. It's happening inside of you, inside of your child, and you don't know because you go to the medical doc and they do these tiny little tests or tell you, oh, he looks great. He looks great. Look at him. He's a spitting image of health. No, he's not. So anyway, back to the other tests. I also ran a 53 antibody tests on my son's brain. So we want to look at this master nervous system because the nervous system controls and coordinates all other systems. So being a chiropractor and being a functional neurology practitioner, I understand this. So we want to tend to this nervous system, and we want to know what's going on with this nervous system so we can tend to it now. If we have antibodies made against our brain or components of our brain or proteins in our brain, this is not good. This means future neurological problems, future risk of neurodegenerative disease, neuropsychiatric problems, all kinds of issues, and major future health problems. Because if the brain breaks down, everything breaks down. Your health is dependent upon that nervous system. As it goes up or down in function, your life goes up and down in function. Your physical ability, your mental ability, your psychological ability, all your hormones, your gastrointestinal system, everything is run off this master nervous system. It's the internet inside of you. So I did some testing on my son. We found that he had moderate, which is significant, 3 antibodies against his brain. Anti-dopamine receptor, anti-HSV antibody, anti-streptococcal antibody, and anti-MA antibody. So there's actually 4. So the anti-dopamine receptor, so what does that mean? If you look at Anders' video number 1, we talked about that dopamine is involved with the process of methylation. If you don't have enough dopamine, you can turn into Parkinson's disease, Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, all kinds of other brain psychological problems, schizophrenia, OCD, tight muscles, chronic sports injuries, and your risk of addiction is through the roof. Because if you're compromised in making dopamine, then your brain doesn't reach a state of well-being. By the way, my son is compromised in dopamine. So if this is not addressed, which we're doing now, and you don't figure this out, and Anders was to stumble along alcohol at 18, 19 years old, or a drug, he could easily become hooked and become an addict because he actually has trouble with forming dopamine because his immune system has made an antibody against his dopamine receptors. You understand that? I mean, this is a significant finding. This needs to be addressed now, not down the road. The other one we found is 2 antibodies against 1 virus and streptococcal. So these need to be addressed because if these come into his system, they're creating antibodies, and those antibodies also can impact the brain. And then lastly, he has a direct antibody against what's called anti-MA, MA, and this is a sign of brain inflammation. Now let me just go back a little bit and tell you, Anders had 3 concussions within a short time frame, and I was wondering, geez, what happened? How did he get this? The first one, if I remember correctly, he was backing up, hit his head on the ice. Said he hit his head pretty good, but got a pretty good concussion. We dealt with it. Next time, it was something to do with basketball. Didn't look to me that it was a big hit, but it was kind of an elbow. Turned into a concussion. And then the last time was this past summer that we thought that he had hurt himself doing skimboarding and tweaking his neck. Again, he's got leaky gut. When you have leaky gut, you have leaky brain. When you have leaky brain, you're prone to concussions. Okay? So if you didn't have the leaky gut and you didn't have the leaky brain and you were a strong methylator and you bang your head, you're probably not going to get a concussion. Okay? The concussion happens to weak brains unless it's massive. And I'm not saying that it really depends upon the extent of the hit, but it also always depends upon the strength of the system taking the hit. You understand that? So he's prone to concussions, and this is one of the reasons why, is because he's showing signs of autoimmune against his brain. We looked at heavy metals. He showed none. Then we got involved with mycotoxins and environmental toxins. So there's 4 types of pathogens, bugs, in general. There's bacteria, viruses, fungus, molds, and then there's parasites, okay? So all of them can make toxins, okay? So they're called biotoxins. When a mold or fungus makes a toxin, they call it a mycotoxin, okay? So you can get mycotoxins and mold from either a black wall in your basement, a damp house, a house that has a lot of moisture, or food sources, okay? So when we looked at this, and by the way, these are major players, and they absolutely wipe out your immune system. When you have high levels of mycotoxins inside of you, you will lower your immune system, and this is one more reason why Anders could have gotten Lyme. Okay, so leaky gut, guaranteed a major cause to lower the immune system. Nutrient deficiency, guaranteed to lower the immune system. A concussion, guaranteed to lower the immune system. Improper foods, guaranteed to lower the immune system. High levels of mycotoxins suppress the immune system. And now you get bit, and now you got Lyme, or you got whatever else you got. Chronic recurrent issues, chronic asthma, chronic allergies, autoimmune, all kinds of things. And then again, your risk of future neurodegenerative disease, neuropsych disease, cancer, heart disease, stroke, through the roof. So on here, what we found is he has 2 high mycotoxins. One is called ochratoxin, okay? And this is can happen from dysbiosis in the gut, which he has. And it also is something that comes on your food from, guess what again? Cereals and grains. Now, was my son eating gluten-free products? Yes. Were they non-GMO? Yes. Was he eating too much of this? Yes. So he now is told no more cereals and grains for a while. And if we're going to go back to cereals and grains, we're going to make sure that we're not eating too many, because cereals and grains harbor these fungus and molds. They grow, and then your child or you eat them, and now you get these toxins inside of you. The normal level here is less than 5.0. Anders is at 29, 6 times the normal rate of this. Total immune suppression. Total opening for all kinds of disease if I don't figure this out. Next one is isosatratoxin, okay? This could be in buildings, and it could be a water damaged building. I actually remember way back when, my old house that we've been out of since 2011, there was a lot of water damage in that basement, and I didn't know this at the time, so I fixed up the basement and everybody hung out down there. We could have picked the stuff up from that. Then under moderate mycotoxins, he's got patulin. So patulin, one of the main areas you're going to get this is from apples, or the rot on apples. My son loves apples, so if you get any soft apples, you better cut that stuff away. And again, I just told him I'm probably going to have him stay off apples for a little bit, switch over to something else, and just let this whole thing calm down. He also shows 2 other molds that are environmental. And then under environmental toxins, he's got 4 of these here. N-acetylpropylcysteine, okay? So I looked this all up. It can be from an organic solvent, metal cleaning, foam gluing, dry cleaning. Can also be from increase from fireworks. And I got to tell you, I buy my son fireworks. He's been blasting some of that off. So he can even have some of that come from that. Then he's got another one called 2, I'm just going to call it 2-hydroxy, too long of a word. The normal range is from 1,000 to 5,700. Anders is at over 10,000. Oh my God. This is also a metabolite that interferes with detoxification and is also involved with the ability to make energy. So this again is a key factor in finding this out now to establish a plan to address this. We also found 2 moderate toxins inside of Anders, perchlorate and bisphenol A. Bisphenol A is anything plastic. I mean, we really try not to use plastic, but in the summertime, you got the plastic bottles. Plastic comes, your stuff just comes in plastic. Try not to drink coffee out of these plastic containers with the plastic top. Perchlorate also majorly interferes with iodine, which majorly interferes with your whole life, including your thyroid. I told you about thyroid. And your thyroid is your master hormone. When the thyroid goes off, everything goes off inside the brain. The major things that show up when there's a thyroid issue: depression, anxiety, I'm going to even tell you bipolar, sleep issues, low motivation. Okay? Are these psychological problems? Not many times they're not. Next thing, in the body, gastrointestinal problems, dry skin, hair falling out, the lateral 1/3 of the eyebrow, the lateral side of the calf. In men, if you're losing your hair, and men and women, if you're losing your hair here, it's a sign of thyroid issues. Weight, there's usually always some thyroid issue there. Gastrointestinal problems, any gastrointestinal problems, GERD, constipation, gassy, bloaty, you must consider thyroid. So Anders had high levels of that. And that's it. So that's a lot of information. I hope you found it helpful. I'm going to do the exact same thing with myself. So you can now see that, here's a 13-and-a-half-year-old boy who does pay attention to what he eats. I will guarantee you he's 98% more conscious of what he's eating than all the kids that are out there. And this is still what we found. And we are finding things that are showing that my son was not healthy. Thank God I ran the blood work on him. Thank God I have this information now and I can straighten it out. Because there would be nothing worse than to lose someone's health, especially when you knew that you could have made an investment, run deep blood tests, and see what's going on under the hood. If all you do is go to the pediatrician, do the silly little exam that we do, never run any blood work. I mean, on kids, they just don't run blood work. And if they do, again, it's 20 tests. You'd miss everything. So I hope you found this interesting. If you have any questions, as always, please let me know. And thank you and have a great day.